Comparison is the thief of joy. That's a saying that I wish I had known earlier in my life because it would have made it a lot better, honestly. Comparison is the thief of joy. This, I think, applies to this whole gaming moment that we find ourselves in, where a lot of PC gamers or PC companies or, I don't know, PC grifters, I don't know exactly who they are, but they want to compare the PC to the PlayStation 5 Pro at the same kind of like price for performance kind of ratio, which I think is the wrong angle because I see something like a PS5 as something like a sports car, okay, and then something like a PC as something that's really closer to like a cargo ship, right? Because a PC can do so much more than a PlayStation 5 ever will do, right? A PC is, it's not just broad in the sense of like how many games you can play, right? But it's broad in the sense that you can build your businesses off of PC. You can, check your taxes, you can do so many things. Like a PC really is the foundation of your digital life. And pretty much every single thing that we do is somehow built on PC, the websites that we visit and everything like that. So from web coding to, I don't know, hacking to, viruses to so many other things are possible on the PC. Like the capabilities of it vastly outweigh or outscale whatever a PlayStation 5 will ever be able to do. I thought before about comparing a PC to like a truck because I'm like, well, at the end of the day, they can both be land vehicles and everything like that. But in reality, that's not even fair because a a truck will be if a PC was only used for gaming as well. Like it would just be a bigger way to expand how much gaming you can do. But really, I think it's a cargo ship. I think it's a whole freighter, just on the ocean because it can carry so much. If you think of an idea, there's a good chance in today's day and age that at some point a PC will come in to help you with that idea. Even if you're a sculptor, you may want to use CAD programs to be able to 3D design your parts. You may want to 3D print certain things. You may want to just get the shapes and the profiles right. You may want to do things like structural integrity tests, and everything like that. All of those things are possible on PC. So I really feel like a cargo ship is more like a PC. And I don't mean that it is slow. What I mean is that it just carries a lot, right? And let's face it, in certain circumstances, a cargo ship will be faster than a sports car. Why? Well, specifically, a sports car isn't really good on driving on water. Like they don't really traverse the ocean all that well. And yet a PC will be able to get you out of jams, or put you into positions that you could never have imagined before because of, of its capability to do way more things than a gaming console ever would. So for me, comparing the price of a PlayStation 5 Pro to a PC for the same price point is as silly as a person wanting to compare the price of a sports car to that of a cargo ship. Like it's actually ridiculous when you think about it. Or even if you decide like, okay, well, I'll compare the price of a PS5 or a sports car to like an overnighter, kind of truck. And it's like, again, I expect the truck to not be to cost more. I just expect it to cost more. By the time you add every single thing that the truck will need, all the accessories and all of the, tray beds and everything, I expect that truck will cost more. And I expect that if you try to build that truck for the same price of as a sports car, you're going to find yourself at a severe disadvantage. Okay? So this particular video was kind of spawned by this one over here, which I'm going to show you on screen. And it kind of shows the disingenuous nature that you have to put yourself in when you try to make this frankly stupid comparison. Again, comparison is a thief of joy. If you are a PC gamer, enjoy PC gaming. Okay, it's like this. It's a reason that it's called a console war. Like you guys were never involved. Like when people are like, oh, let's compare sports sedans, and they might compare like a BMW M3 versus an Audi RS5 versus a Mercedes AMG, whatever. Like no one is going to go like, okay, cool, and here is the bus. Like no one compares them, right? Like they don't go, oh well, look at the engine in the bus. It produces just as many horsepower. So it's like, yeah, but that's a bus. That's like for carrying like 100 people or so. Like, that's not the same as these things here that can carry 5 people. But people want to do it anyway. So I think it's silly. But let's watch the video. Let's watch the video first that spawned this whole thing, okay? So we're just going to take a quick look-see.
I bet you still want to play on console, huh? I get it, it's a lower cost and it's easier to get into. But let me play devil's advocate here. Just take a look at this and see what PC gaming can do. With the ability to mod.
So over here, you're already kind of like putting up mods over here, which is a capability of PC, but it's like, it's weird. It's weird that I just find this weird already. I find it like, just show what the game runs at natively, okay? Because we're just doing a comparison. This would be like if you're like, oh yeah, here's a bus, but it's also full of like sex workers and they look hot. And you're like, oh, well, can we just compare the cars? No, here's a bus, compare it to the bus. First of all, it's like, why? But secondly, it's full of hot women. And you're like, oh, okay, but they're sex workers. Okay, cool. Because that's what mods are. They're like, they're sex workers.
Ceiling for gaming on PCs is so much.
Also, don't ever use Gen AI. Like, it's so disgusting. This looks absolutely awful. I don't know why you would ruin something like GTA 4 by putting AI on it.
Plus, you can still get a great experience on PC for low cost. Here's everything you need.
So over here is the low cost PC that that he puts forward there. Okay, we're gonna come back to this slide because what I want to say here is that if you build this thing here, you're not really building a PC, you're building a console. Or at least you're building a PC, but with an inherent limitation that consoles are supposed to have, that PCs are not supposed to have. And we'll come back to that.
Roughly $70 PC, and the main drivers here is a Ryzen 5 5600X and the RTX 4060. And with this hardware at 1080p, you can expect roughly 70 FPS on Cyberpunk at high settings, 130 FPS in GTA 5 at very high settings, and 70 FPS on Red Dead 2 at high settings. That's just my advice. You guys can do whatever you want, but I bet you still want to play on console.
Okay, so he finished there, and I find this slide over here very disingenuous, okay? Because what we have here is, again, a person trying to, they've taken the price and they've made the price the driving force behind the thing that they want to do. And I feel like that's a mistake. If you're going to go to PC, for the many advantages that PCs have, one of the key advantages is that you can upgrade in the future, right? You can kind of have at least 1, 2, or 3 maybe generations of upgrades that are possible, both for your CPU and your GPU. The problem with this one is that, again, you are basing this off a the B55M, which is an AM4, I believe it's AM4 or AM3 graphics. But the point is that, sorry, not graphics, CPU socket. That's what I mean to say. This CPU socket is no longer being supported. Like, this form factor is no longer being supported by AMD. Yes, they've released like new 5000 series CPUs this year, but basically, if you were to build this, you wouldn't be able to upgrade your CPU without changing your motherboard again, because this motherboard also doesn't support DDR5 RAM. So again, you're kind of pushing yourself into a place where you are building a closed system, right? Basically, once you build this thing, forget about the upgradability of PC. Like, yes, you could technically upgrade your graphics card as much as you want, because there's a great chance they're going to just keep supporting PCIe. But the problem then is that you end up with a more and more unbalanced computer where your graphics card keeps being like upgraded, right? Perhaps, but your CPU and your motherboard limit what that graphics card can do. So then you end up kind of this weird place where you just have a lopsided system. And that's not a good thing. That just means that you've wasted your money somewhere, okay? If you're going to build a PC today, my recommendation to you as a person that has built PCs before is that you kind of want to get on the ground floor of the new generation or the new form factor for the motherboard. Your motherboard is the most important component that you can have in order to keep that PC-like advantage over consoles, which is an upgradable system. There's no point buying at the tail end of a generation or the tail end of a socket in this case, and then realizing that there's no upgradability from there. You've just locked yourself. You just closed that box. And I know this because this is a mistake that I've made before, right? Or sort of. I switched from Intel to AMD when I was building my second PC, my personal one. And what that meant is that I pretty much done the same thing. My first PC wasn't upgradable anymore because I couldn't fit an AMD CPU on an Intel motherboard. And so that made my first PC kind of a closed system. I didn't see enough headway to upgrade that thing. And even if I had wanted to stay with Intel, they did the same thing. They made my motherboard obsolete, so I couldn't just plug in a new CPU and then be like, yeah, you're more powerful than the one before. If I had wanted to do that, I would have had to change my motherboard, which is what actually facilitated my switch to AMD. Honestly, I gotta tell you, I wish I just stayed on Intel. I wish I had just built my second PC as I was going to build it, but just with Intel CPUs, would have been a lot easier because optimizations and drivers were just easier with Intel. I haven't had a great experience with AMD. It is what it is. But the point is this: your motherboard matters, and your motherboard is what defines the generations on PC. Because a lot of people will say something like, oh, PC doesn't have generations. It absolutely does. Like, it's not even close. It absolutely does. And both Intel and AMD can be unpredictable as fuck as to when it is that those generation boundary lines are going to be formed. Like, you may buy into a system and be like, okay, great, I'm good for the next 10, 15 years. And then they just change a single pin. And suddenly they tell you that, hey, that motherboard that you have, yeah, that was 1150. That's Intel, right? 1150. Now we're on 1151. You can't use the same motherboard anymore. And you're like, but how? I just bought this thing. It cost me like $400. And now it's completely obsolete. And you have no predictability, right? At least with consoles, you know, oh, okay, about every 8 to 10 years, we're going to get a new generation. You can literally be in 2026 or 2027 and be like, okay, I'm going to start watching out. Maybe I don't want to buy the PlayStation 5 Pro now because we are on the, on the eve, of the PlayStation 6, the next generation, Or might read and be like, oh, okay, they're going to extend this one a little bit further. Maybe there's about 2 or 3 more years. But by the time, let's say you get to 2029 or even 2030, and there hasn't been a PlayStation 6 yet, you know they're about to drop it tomorrow. Like, it's predictable. So it also kind of helps you with your purchase decision. The problem again with PC is that they have generations defined by the CPU sockets, and they will literally change things from one year to another unpredictably. Like, I know maybe people that listen to like Moore's Law is dead and kind of pay more attention to that side of PC might have been able to see some of these things coming, but from the average consumer, it just comes out of left field. So do not believe for a second that there are no generations on PC. There absolutely are. There are generations with your motherboard because your motherboard will dictate both your CPU socket, your RAM, and also to a lesser extent, but your storage. Because if, for example, you wanted to have an SSD built into your motherboard, well, you had to have a certain motherboard that supported that. And those M.2 SSDs, they're a few years old now, so motherboards have supported them for a while. But again, my first PC didn't have any M.2 sockets on the motherboard, right? And about 6 years later, motherboards now came out with those that did. So again, there are generational shifts because the motherboard ties everything together on a PC. There it is. So now let's talk about the second point of PC. The first was expandability. Don't buy into a CPU socket especially that is already obsolete, which is what this particular slide over here was going to give you. That is an obsolete socket already. You may have maybe one more year of upgrades, but then you don't want to change your CPU every year. By the time you want to change your CPU, let's say you start an entry level and you want to change your CPU in 3 or 4 years, you will not be able to do this on this particular PC. And by the time that you're removing your motherboard, by the way, like people, I want you to understand, by the time you remove your motherboard from your computer, you might as well kind of upgrade your entire computer because many other things should change along with it. It's very silly for you to change your motherboard and then plug in the same components back in place. Like just put the same RAM that you used before, put the same SSD. It doesn't make sense for the amount of work that it takes to undo everything. And quite often, once things are already obsolete like this, you will not be able to sell these things. So you may as well just keep it as a backup PC. So basically, again, you'll be running into the same issue that console gamers have, which is once the PlayStation 5 Pro is superseded by PlayStation 6, it doesn't really make a lot of sense to keep the PlayStation 5 Pro around unless you're a collector. The second advantage of PC is supposed to be that it is more powerful. Now, here's the thing, it doesn't have to be. Of course, most PCs in the world are not more powerful than PlayStation 5. That's as it is right now. Only about 25% of PCs have a GPU that is even more competent than the PlayStation 5. So 75% of gamers on PC are not at PlayStation 5 standard. So you do not have to build a super powerful PC. That's fine. If you want to build a PC that it basically is equivalent of a potato, but you're happy playing everything at low or medium settings, go ahead, do it, have at it. But today we're not going to go for that because I need you to understand my philosophies behind building a PC, because it's a lot of work to build a PC yourself, to go ahead and select the parts, to make sure they're all compatible, to pull it together yourself without shocking yourself or shocking your card and damaging things. It's a lot of work. Running cable management, doing everything like that. It takes 1 to 2 hours for an amateur to build a PC. If you're someone like Linus Tech Tips and you build hundreds upon hundreds of PC and hundreds upon hundreds of configurations, sure, you could do it in like 45 minutes. Bam, bam, boom. But again, for most people, we're going to take our time, at least 1 to 2 hours, so that we can go from having everything in the boxes to now having every single thing, put into the machine. Everything's powered on, Windows is activated, all of those things like that. And not to forget, a lot of times you'll be sourcing parts from different places, okay? And they might arrive at different times. Even if you get it all from the same place, they might arrive at different time. There's a lot of lead up to the purchase. You don't simply walk into a store, pick it up and go, unless you buy a pre-built. And there's nothing wrong with a pre-built. If you want to get a pre-built PC, go ahead and do it. Next time, if I have the money, if I have the desire for a more powerful PC, honestly, I find that the whole pre-built thing is probably a way that I will go next time. But me personally, I do like the fun of putting together the PC myself. I think that there is an element of fun, of decision making, of balancing pros and cons. And if I had the money to be able to just go all out on my PC, man, I would like to put it together myself. I will feel extra satisfaction, extra pride of ownership from having built it myself from the ground up. That is nothing to say that, somehow building your PC is better than buying a pre-built. Nothing at all. I'm not trying to say that. I'm not trying to shame anyone into buying PCs. No. What I'm saying is that me, personally, I enjoy the fruits of my labor. I feel more attached to the machine that I've put together myself, built myself, rather than something that I just went to a store and bought, right? And I like the flexibility. I like the choices. So the second thing for me then is that my PC should be at least as performant, but hopefully more so than the PlayStation 5 Pro. So today when I build my PC, I need you guys to understand this is me building a PC that I will build today in 2024 if I was to, I guess, replace this one, or if I just wanted to have a PC that is at least as capable as a PlayStation 5 Pro. But I don't like having halfway things. First of all, we are going to match the PlayStation 5 spec for spec as much as possible. We're going to beat it on every front. Wi-Fi 7, we're going to have Wi-Fi 7. We are, what is it? RAM, we're going to have as much. Storage space, we're going to match it. We're not just going to match the storage capacity, we're going to match the speed or exceed it. We're going to make sure that this PC is as powerful or more powerful than the PlayStation 5 Pro. We are not here to match it. We are not here to build it to $700. I'm not trying to make a budget build. I'm not trying to make a high-end, money is no object build either. But I'm not trying to cut back on every dollar and shave every cent and use every single incentive to be like, oh my God, I can take this card and it's $849. But if I buy it from that store, it'll be $839. Yeah, no, we're not doing that, okay? We're not doing poverty level gaming either. We're going to build a solid machine that is also has some kind of system synergy. What I mean by that is that we're not going to go for the highest end component in everything, but we're not going to have wild imbalances where we get a 4090, but at the base level, AMD 3700X. We're not doing that kind of disparity, okay? We're going to have every component about the mid-range, okay? Maybe you could say lower or upper mid-range. I think we're just going to say mid-range PC. We're going to create a mid-range PC. We're going to make sure that we are on the latest AMD socket, and we're going to use AMD just because PlayStation uses AMD. We're going to be on the latest AMD socket so that if a person were to, conceivably want to upgrade that later, they have more chances of being able to stay on that socket. Again, there's no guaranteed on the PC world. AMD could change their socket again tomorrow for no reason. We don't know. But I guess we're going to do our best to future-proof it. So again, I'm not building this according to price, but I'm also not going to try to just build the highest end build that I can possibly find. I'm going to try to find a happy medium where I will personally be happy to not only put this PC together on a spreadsheet, but you also have the experience of building this PC. Now, personally, I don't like mini form factor PCs. That's another thing that you're going to have to know. I don't like mini form factor PCs, so we're going to just build in a standard ATX case. Okay, that's going to be the thing because I wouldn't want to do the cable management for a small compact size. I will tell you this. If I wanted a small compact PC, something that was closer to like a 12-liter PC or a 10-liter PC, something closer to the size of the console, I would absolutely get that pre-built. There is no way you would ever see me trying to finical around with those tiny little form factors and those tight cable clearances. That is a nightmare for someone else to solve. I would definitely get a pre-built or at least select the parts and then make someone else build it for me. I am not building an ITX PC or a mini ITX or whatever. That is absolutely not happening. So now let's turn to the website. So over here, let me come here. So we're going to use PC Case Gear. This is the Australian component of it. So all of the prices are going to be in Australian dollars. So what we're going to do is we're just going to find the target, okay? So we're going to check the price of a PlayStation 5 Pro in Australia. Give me 1 second over here. We're just going to work it out. For some reason, I didn't take a look at this first. Okay. So the price of a PlayStation 5 Pro in Australia is $1,200. As you can see there, that's what it is. So that there is going to be our comparative price. Remember, I'm not trying to build to this price. Also remember that all of the prices that you will see here on PC Case Gear, they will be in Australian dollars. Okay, so the world doesn't just revolve around the US. We're going to do a comparison later so that you can, like a price comparison, so you can kind of see the percentage difference or everything like that. But we're going to go ahead and do this. Okay, so very first thing we're going to do is decide our motherboard. Okay, that is the most thing. And we're going to go for the AMD AM5 Zen 5 socket. Now, again, this is, if you were trying to build a PC solely based on price, solely based on trying to like squeeze out every dollar to beat the PlayStation 5 Pro, you wouldn't go for this socket. You will go for the AMD AM4, and you'll probably go for the Zen 3 or the Zen 2 architecture. You will go for one of these guys. The problem is these guys are obsolete. So I do not want to build a PC that has the same limitation as a console where you can't upgrade it, okay? I want to build a PC that is actually upgradable for at least a little bit of the time. So that is basically what we're going to do. So this is why I'm going to choose this, okay? Now, these guys are OG high-end. This is OG high-end boards. So we're just going to go for the lowest that we possibly can get. And this one here at $333 is going to be the motherboard for us, okay? So we're going to go for the MSI MAG B650, and this should give us everything that we want, okay? We'll be on the latest generation. Hopefully this socket will have, another 10 years of life in it, so we can upgrade CPUs as we need to and upgrade RAM sticks and everything like that as we need to. It has an M.2 SSD and everything like that. And so that there is where we're going to go. Now, one thing that this guy has over here is Wi-Fi 6, okay? Now, the PlayStation 5 has Wi-Fi 7. And like I said, we are not going to lose on anything, okay? So we're going to, just give me 1 second, guys. I'm just going to see over here if I've already got the work done. So we're going to make sure that we have Wi-Fi 7 on board, okay? We are not going to be left out in the dust on anything in particular. So over here, I've done some previous research, and this was pretty hard to find, but over here is a Gigabyte Wi-Fi 7 module. Okay, we're going to install that so that we have Wi-Fi 7. It's going to be spec for spec, our PC is going to be matching or better than the than the PlayStation equivalent. So that is what we are going for. So that's what we're going to get is Wi-Fi 7 so that nobody can complain that we didn't take care of that. And if I miss out on something, let me know in the comments. Okay, so then the next thing that we're going to do after we choose our motherboard, I think it makes sense to choose our case. So let's go ahead and take a look at cases, okay? So over here, we're going to have a few options for cases. So we're going to choose form factor, ATX. Like I said, I don't want to do micro ATX or ITX, certainly not. We're not going to do EATX, okay? We're just going to do it for the standard ATX size. Side panel, well, the PlayStation 5 doesn't have any transparent side panels, so we're just going to have solid side panels, okay? And then for the PSU, we're just going to do a standard ATX size PSU, okay? Just a standard one. Again, I don't want any small form factor, okay? And now we're just going to sort by, again, lowest price. And I want to get something that looks good and is from a reputable company. I'm going to go for this Be Quiet case over here, okay? I'm going to go for the Be Quiet. Again, I could have gone for this one, which is half of the price. It is what it is. That's a Thermotech. It's a good company and everything. But I'm going to go for the Be Quiet. Also, let me tick this in stock. Okay, we're not going to wait for things to come. Let me tick this one. I'm going to go for this white one. Number one, the PlayStation 5 is white, so I think it just is a cool kind of thing to go for. But number two, I like the Be Quiet cases because they do their best to have extra insulation to reduce the amount of noise. You know, they come with good size fans already in the case, and they have extra insulation on the sides and everything so that it can be as quiet as possible, which is a consideration of the console. It should be a consideration for our PC as well. Okay, so now that we have that, let's go and pick up our CPU, okay? So again, for the CPU, we're going to go and jump into the latest generation, okay? The AM5, and we're going to jump into the 900 series generation, okay? Do we jump into the 900 or do we jump into the 800? 8,000. I say, my goodness. Okay, so we have two choices here. Both of these are AM5. This is the latest, and this one here is the 8,000. I'm actually going to go back and jump into the 8,000 series because I know that the PlayStation 5 has an 8-core 16-thread CPU. So again, we're going to match it spec for spec, and we're going to get this one because it has an 8-core 16-thread CPU. So let me just kind of copy that and add it to the spreadsheet over here, okay? So we're just going to add that CPU there, and that's $429, okay? All right, so then we're going to get a CPU cooler, okay? Now, don't worry, this one over here is just, I know that some of these AMD CPUs do come with an actual cooler already inside, but we're just going to try to make this machine as quiet as possible, but we're not going to break the dollar. So let's go ahead and say AMD AM5, okay, the type, let's go air cooler, okay. Now over here we have a whole bunch of things for $29, and out of all of these, I'm going to take the Thermotech one. There's no point in us taking anything with RGB lighting, simply because we're not going to see it, right? Our case is a solid case. So over here, we're just going to take this guy and we're going to add this CPU cooler. Should make things even quieter. And Thermotech is a company that, again, I know and I trust. So we're going to put that there. So let's see. So we've got the CPU, we've got the case, we've got the CPU cooler. Let's go ahead and pick up our GPU, right? The part that most people go crazy over. Now with the GPU over here, we're going to take a look at two options. Okay, we're going to get the 4070 and maybe a 4080, but they only have a 4080 Super. So again, I'm just going to go for one store. I'm just going to go based on what they have. And then over here, I'm just going to go from low to high. Okay. So over here, I'm going to take the first one that I trust. I trust MSI way more than I would trust. Let's go in stock. Let's make sure that everything here, I'm not seeing any pre-orders. I just want to see things that are in stock. Okay, so this one here has a difference of $10, but again, I know MSI more, so I'm going to go with MSI. I trust them more than I trust another company. Over here, I will trust Gigabyte more. So over here are two options, okay? You either go for a 4070, which is what people are speculating that you will need at a minimum, or you will nearly double the price and go for the 4080 Super. Again, I didn't choose. I don't know why a standard 4080 isn't there, but I think for today's purpose, we want to make sure that we match or exceed. So I'm going to get the 4070 over here from MSI. And that will be it. Let me just make sure over here that I just update, sorry. my thing over here. Okay. Now, the PlayStation 5 has a what is it? What do they have? They call it a what they call it? They have a unified memory, right? So they have like 16 gigs of GDDR5 RAM. This one here only has 12 gigs, but a PC also uses system RAM. So even though this is a little bit lower, I think it's plenty fair to say that most of the CPU tasks are going through the RAM. So we don't have to match this one exactly. So I'm not going to go for like a 4080 just to match the 16 gigs over here. Although obviously you could if you wanted to just be like, yeah, I'm definitely not going to be below the PlayStation 5 Pro, even including PSSR. But I'm going to stick with this. I think it's a fair thing. So since we need RAM anyway, let's go ahead and check memory. And we're going to take the latest memory. Again, because we have the latest motherboards, we have the latest CPU socket, we might as well get the latest memory. But with the capacity, I'm not going to get 16 gigs, I'm going to get 32. And my reasoning behind this is simply that Windows eats up resources that a dedicated console doesn't. Okay, that's just true. If you need to like argue that, then I feel sorry for you, but that is just true. And I'm just going to get the lowest one, the lowest one over here. T-Force is a company that I've used in other PCs, so I do trust them. Obviously, you could get the Corsair if you wanted, but this one over here apparently was normally $169 anyway, so it was more than this one. So hey, that is an extra deal. So we're just going to get this one over here, and that is going to be our RAM, okay, our memory for our system memory. And again, we're getting more because Windows eats up resources. That's just the way that it works. Whereas the 16 gigs in the PlayStation 5 are dedicated to pretty much just gaming and maybe like a few overlays or recording your gameplay. So that's going to be that. So I'm pretty happy with our PC so far. It is definitely a middle range build over here. One quick note over here about the operating system. A lot of these PCs that we have don't even include the operating system thing. That's another thing that I hated about that video by digital, what was it, comment, whatever that tweet didn't even include the price of the OS. And then one time I pointed this out and someone told me like, you don't even have to download a license key, just leave with a pirated copy or a stolen copy or whatever. Oh my goodness, people are great. Now this price here is in USD because over here this is a worldwide delivery service, but it does mean that your Windows key, and we're just gonna get Windows 11, okay, we're just gonna get the latest in everything. It's not going to cost like $150. It's going to cost like $40 Australian. So I'm going to put a price of that as $40 for the key to make sure that we have an activated copy of Windows, because you know you don't want your shit hacked or anything like that. Okay, now let's go ahead and what we're going to pick up. Let's pick up a power supply, right? Something that's going to help us actually power the entire thing. So here we're going to go power supply. We're going to go all models. Okay, now power supplies, I'm gonna let you know, I'm gonna make some key decisions over here that you may not agree with. I recently had a 1200 watt 80 plus platinum power supply from Cooler Master blow up. Okay, so reputable brand, pretty much the highest rating that you can get. I think even though there's like titanium, but it was the highest rating at the time. Thankfully it had a 7-year warranty, and it was, you know, fairly easy to swap over. But that means that even from a reputable brand, these things can blow up. So I'm going to make sure that we have a little bit of, you know, safety built in. First, with wattage, I want it to be between 700 and 750 watts. I think that is a fair amount for the power supply that we put in. And it also means that if you put in 4080 in there, you shouldn't be running up against too many issues. Now, you could push it to like 800 watts, but that'll be the highest that you will need to go for the particular kind of design intent of this particular PC. Second, I want it to be fully modular. Reason being, when it comes to the PlayStation 5, it doesn't have extra cables dangling in there. So I only want to plug in the cables that I need, okay? Again, we're going to make it as similar, and also it's just easier to live with, guys. Like, you don't want to have a non-modular power supply. It's just a nightmare. Okay, we're gonna go for an ATX size again because I'm not building anything small, and we're gonna go for 80 plus gold. I think 80 plus gold is a good standard to be in. In my current PC, when I replaced that 80 plus platinum, I dropped down to 80 plus gold because I didn't want to pay for the whole 80 plus platinum kind of like I guess tax on top of everything. So we're going to go for that. We're going to sort here by lowest and everything. And I'm just going to take the first one that I trust. Okay, so over here, we're going to take the MSI. Okay, and we're going to take the MSI specifically because having done research over here, it comes with a 10-year warranty. Okay, so that there is just a good deal. And in any case, this previous version was just $6 less. I've never heard of this company. I'm not saying that bad. Okay, but this one over here is 700 watts. This one over here for $6 more is a 50 extra watts, and it comes with a 10-year warranty. Okay, so I just trust it here. Now over here, I don't know what this one costs. Oh, only a 3-year warranty. So you see here for $6 extra, you get 7 extra years of warranty. You get 50 watts more of possible, I guess, power that it can give you. It's just a much better deal. Like, spend the extra $6. Again, I'm not building this PC to try to shave every single, dollar off. No, we're just going to build a good solid piece of equipment that you'll be proud to own, you'll be happy to have for apparently at least 10 years, right? So that's what we're going to do. So that's why I'm going to choose this power supply there. So I'm pretty happy with my choice there. Now we're going to take some keyboard and mouse, okay? So keyboard and mouse is another thing that people don't include, but the PlayStation 5 comes with a controller built in. You should at least have a keyboard and mouse built in. And listen, we found a great deal. Over here, I found a bundle, okay, that comes with a lot of things you will need. It comes with a headset, that's a bonus, a headset stand, super bonus, a backlit keyboard, how great is that? A desk pad, which I guess this mouse isn't that good, so maybe you need it, and then a mouse. Okay, there you go, basic for $59. Okay, that's like nothing in the US, so that is actually a great thing. But at least we'll be able to control our PC, activate our Windows key and everything like that. So we're going to have that as the basics. Now again, if you wanted to have your experience to actually be better than PlayStation 5 in every single way, maybe you're a console gamer, maybe you buy yourself a DualSense or an Xbox Series controller, maybe you buy yourself a higher end keyboard and mouse, but at least this will get us started, and it comes with a headset too. So that there just covers all of the bases. It's only $59. It just makes a lot of sense. Okay. Also, I'm not sure whether this thing is wireless. I think it's not a wireless keyboard. I think technically, yeah, I should have probably gone with a wireless version for everything to kind of make sure that the DualSense is, since it is wireless, probably would have been more fair. But hey, you know what? We'll call that good enough. Okay. I think I already got the RAM. Yes, I did. And then we need an SSD. Okay, cool. So let's go ahead and grab that SSD. And you let me know if we got everything there. So let's go ahead. Where would the SSD be? Where do you guys think they put hard drives and SSDs? That seems logical. That seems like a logical place to put SSD. Okay, so over here we're gonna be M.2, matches the PlayStation 5. The protocol is going to be I think it has to be N5.0 in order to be fast enough, and a 2 terabyte capacity. We're going to want everything in stock. We just want to see price per lowest. I think 5.0 is more performant than we need. I think I was able to match it with 4.0. Okay, and I think so over here this is 5,000. By the way, for reference, the PlayStation 5 SSD is 5,500. So I'm gonna get something that's above that. And I think one of these guys, this Team T-Force over here is indeed faster. Okay, because over here we have 7,000. Okay, so there we go. Now we have beaten the PlayStation 5 SSD handedly, while also matching the capacity and the size and the storage. So there we go. That there is a pretty fair. I'm pretty happy with that. Okay, so let me go and double check that I have every single thing that we need there. Okay, so over here, let's see. Let me go. So I have the case. Okay, then I want to just double check for the CPU. Okay, so CPU. Then I have the CPU cooler. Let's see. We're going to, why do we put in the CPU cooler? Oh no, I think we lost it. I think the CPU cooler got lost. That's okay. We'll just go back and fetch it again. The CPU cooling. Now this one wasn't actually much. It was just this, and then I wanted to be air cooling, and then I wanted to be low, and I wanted to take the thermal take. So I think that's cool. So over here, CPU, CPU cooler. Then we're just gonna match the GPU. I have a spreadsheet to my left that I already put together, so I'm just gonna make sure that kind of everything is put up for you guys there. I think I actually like just made a few mistakes here. I accidentally closed a few things, it would seem. Okay, so let's see. Where's my GPU? Where's my GPU at? Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I'm terrible at these things. Oh no. He can't build a PC. He can't even keep the pages open. That's crazy. That is absolutely crazy. Now I'm gonna have to go and fetch it again. Okay, well, that's on me, guys. That one me culpa. It's my fault. It's my fault. I could have done that one smoother, you know. Let's go. Not high to low, low to high. And I chose the MSI. Yeah, the MSI. Okay, there we go. Right. So I'm just gonna try to match it. So GPU over here should be after my cooler. Okay, cool. There's a GPU. Then on my thing now I have the Wi-Fi 7 module. So where did I put that Wi-Fi 7 module? Okay, so the Wi-Fi 7 module was next. Then I have over here the motherboard. Then I have the Windows key, which I took away. That's why we don't need the Windows key up there. Then I have the power supply unit. Okay, so over here, power supply. Excellent. Then I have the keyboard and mouse. So where did I put the keyboard and mouse? Perfect. Okay, then I have the RAM somewhere in here. I think, come on. I clearly, do you guys think that this thing auto deletes the RAM? Okay, there we go. I have the RAM, okay, and then I have the SSD. So where is the SSD? SSD. I'm thinking about the thing. Okay, you know what? That's fine. We're just gonna get the SSD. You get used to this. You get used to making mistakes, because I should have clicked that way. You get used to these things. And my Google just activated for no reason. That's fine. I wanted a 4.0 protocol. Want to sort by low. Want to go here, and then it was the Team T-Force. There we go. Okay, so there is pretty much my PC, or at least the PC that we built together. Okay, so here is the Excel spreadsheet. Let's go ahead and make it a little bit smaller for you guys, so that hopefully we can get everything all in one screen capture. Okay, so over here, let's just increase the size of this so that we are not squinting. Okay, I hate Calibri, so let's just go with Aptos over here. Let's make it bold, and I don't know what color should we make it. Let's make it a strong red. $2,505. Okay, now this is the price that we've come to after making the decisions that I made. Okay, so over here again, we have the case, we have a CPU, we have a CPU cooler, we have a GPU, we have a Wi-Fi 7, we have the motherboard, we have the operating system, we have the power supply, we have the keyboard and mouse, we have the RAM, we have the SSD. Now I think that is everything that you will need to actually be able to put your PC together, press start, and then make it work. Technically, you may need an HDMI cable. HDMI cables are super cheap and affordable nowadays. That might add an extra $15 when you just get it from Amazon or something like that. So I'm not going to count that into the thing. You obviously need a monitor, but for the PlayStation 5, you need the TV or monitor too, so that doesn't have to do with that box. But I think we are pretty good here. Now, by comparison, the price of the PlayStation 5 Pro is $1,200. Okay, so over here, what is this? Is this merge? There we go. So you see here that when I did my build, okay, keeping in fact the fact that I wanted to keep the advantages that PC is supposed to have, I'm landing at twice the price basically. Okay, that is basically what it takes to have a PlayStation 5 Pro equivalent PC that is also keeping all of the benefits that PC gives you. This will be an upgradable PC if you want it to be. You will upgrade your CPU, your RAM, your you don't have to touch your motherboard out of here for at least 10 years, I believe. You should be, depending on how AMD pretty much plays their cards, able to just pop in a new CPU 6 years later if you choose to. So, that is the point. And I wanted to do this because this is really an honest conversation. Could you have made this, much cheaper? Absolutely. You could probably have shaved off maybe, I want to say, 300, maybe $400 off of here. If, for example, you decided, especially on the motherboard and the CPU, if you decided that you don't need them to be upgradable, you probably could have made this one like a $200 or like $170. And then you probably could have made this one over here maybe $200 or so dollars. So that would give you about $300 back. But then you're pretty much building a Windows-based console because it has no upgradability by now. It's a closed system. There's no reason for you to open this box again. Just because you can doesn't mean that you should, and doesn't mean that you will, because I honestly, it's not an enjoyable process that you want to do this every week. So those were that's my reasoning behind why I just think that you should build something that is nice. Another thing that a lot of people do is that they go really cheap on the power supply, and look, a cheap power supply is going to work, absolutely. But do you really want something that's only backed by a 3-year warranty where a few extra dollars gives you 10-year warranty? Do you really want a power supply where all of the cables are going to be fixed and you can't remove cables that you don't need and you have to deal with all of that? No, don't be don't be just trying to scrape by every dollar. Save a few extra bucks, get yourself a really good quality power supply, and hopefully this power supply has no reason to break. Maybe if you decide to give your PC away to someone for some reason, or sell your PC, maybe you go back and you put in a $600 basic cheapy power supply, you keep this one for yourself, and then you make that move onto your next PC. Just something reasonable is what I want. Another decision that people could have made is only gone for 16 gigs of RAM to just kind of match spec for spec. But I think that ignores the fact that Windows is a resource hog in a way that a PlayStation or any dedicated console will not be, because they only have to do one thing. So again, you could have made completely different decisions here. You could absolutely be cheaper. I'm not trying to say that this is what you need, this is the minimum, no. But this, I think, is the minimum enjoyable product, okay? That will be more powerful, at least as or more powerful than the PlayStation 5 Pro, without any concern, without limiting you in any single way. And it's always been what I've said, which is you're going to have to spend at least, twice the price, $1,400, And then if you want to be irrevocably better than the PlayStation 5 Pro, you don't want to hang around the same performance stratosphere. You don't want to be in the same tax bracket as a PlayStation 5 Pro. You're going to upgrade this to a 4080. And we saw the 4080 was about twice the price of this. It was about $1,600 Australian. So then what you're going to do is you're going to add an extra $800. And again, you start pushing up to be, where I've always said that you'll be. You need to start at about 2,000 US if you want to be better than the console. It simply is true. It's just, there's no way around it. Okay, now let's give you the whole price comparison, right? So let's go 2,500. We're just going to go AUD to USD. Okay, we're just going to do a simple comparison here, and let's go ahead and put it back on screen. So over here you can see here that it will cost 1686.5. okay, now our taxes are built in Australia, so what we see is what we pay. In America, your taxes come after the purchase, or pretty much at the point of sale, right? When you go to the store and you see something for $700, by the time you go through checkout, it will cost you a little bit more than $700 because you would have paid tax. Our taxes work a little bit differently, so this isn't 100%. So maybe if you do all of these parts, you take the exact same parts and you find the equivalent in your store, and you happen to live in the US, maybe you're going to end up with a number that is like $1,500 instead. But that's because that number doesn't take into account the taxes that you would have been paying on it. As well as that, things are generally more expensive in Australia than they would be for the US market. So again, there's a good chance that over here you might end up at 1400 rather than 1600, or maybe 1300, maybe even 1200, because some of these things are way more expensive in Australia than they are in the US. It is just the way that the world is. It's sad and unfortunate, but it is there. But in any case, you see that we are nowhere near $700. Again, if you only have if you have less than $1,000 and your only concern is gaming, just get a PlayStation 5 Pro, or just get a PlayStation 5 or a Series X. For price per dollar, you will not be able to beat that performance. But if you want to invest yourself into the world of PC gaming, I say do it right. Do it with a plum and just go in, save up a few extra dollars, and then just get it. And you'll do well. Try not to buy things that you need to upgrade right away. Like, don't buy yourself a 256 gig SSD just to be like, oh, I'm gonna be able to then replace it later. Like, no, just kind of buy it once, or what did they say? Buy it right or buy it twice. Like, just buy it once. Just be happy from day one with your purchase. You will have a great experience. You will enjoy your PC gaming if you already know that you're going to like PC gaming, and that is what it's going to cost. So there, I just wanted to do a quick video sort of showing, I guess, if there's anyone in the audience who wants this whole process demystified. Maybe you've seen like a lot of these videos where a lot of people are like, oh, I can build it for $700, and then a whole bunch of comments are like, no you can't, no you can't, no you can't. Well, I guess this is how I would do it. Again, I just want to reaffirm this. This is not me saying that you need to spend this amount of money to build the PC. This is simply saying that this is what I would spend with my philosophy, with what I want out of my PC, And in fact, for me personally, if I were to upgrade my PC, I would upgrade that GPU as well, right? I would probably wait to get the 50 series cards out next year. And then I'll probably get for the 80 generation. Instead of being at 70, I'll go for the 80 because that one is just before insane. Because the price of the 4090 cards, I mean, let's take a look at the price of a 4090 card in Australia, right? The 90 series cards are always ridiculous. So over here, let's just say that we go for the 4090, and let's just go by lowest. 3,000 Australian dollars, bro. That is ridiculous. That is ridiculous. And that there shows you again how disingenuous a lot of these PC gamers are. The ones that will build for you a $700 equivalent price beating whatever, right? They put these dog shit builds in front of you for PC, and then they themselves will be using a 4090, and it's like, okay, so for your 4090, you were prepared to pay like 2,000 or 3,200 Australian dollars. But then for us who just want a premium, kind of like a mid-range, console to PC equivalent or whatever, like you find it like abhorrent, you find it morally deplorable that we want to spend $700 US or $1,200 Australian on an entire system, but you was prepared to pay over $3,000 Australian on a card, a single component, which by the way, if you pay for this $3,200 card for your PC, you have to upgrade your CPU and your motherboard to also be some of the best that you can get. Like, your motherboard should at least be $500 to $600. Your CPU should be the highest end as well, so that again you have a well-balanced system, so that there is no bottleneck. Your CPU isn't going to bottleneck your 4090 and vice versa, right? And your motherboard is going to be able to support them all, as well as getting more and more storage so that you can actually download those games, keep them, use them, because we all know that PC doesn't use discs. So for a person who doesn't have the greatest internet in the world, be able to keep things locally matters still. So that there is basically my philosophy behind building a PC. Let me know if you agree or if you disagree, but I just want to put something out there, I guess for my sanity, to be able to say like, this is what I would do, and this is why I will make the decisions that I would make if I was building a PC. I think I got every single component down that you will need. Let me know if I forgot something crucial. Like, next thing you know, you'll be like, oh, Emmanuel, you forgot the one thing that will actually turn it on, But I think I've built enough PCs to hopefully not have forgotten some crucial necessary part like RAM. Who make that mistake, right? Okay, I'm out.